44. The Stillest Hour.
We've reached the final chapter of Part 2, and the drama is at its height. This is not Part 1, where Zarathustra was just making speeches about the Superman and gaining disciples. We've seen him go through self-doubts and self-surpassings, developing a love-hate relationship with poetry, dealing with dreams and visions, ditching the Superman idea but then reworking it into his worldview. But in the previous chapter, Manly Prudence, he seemed to reach some balance, a synthesis between all those things. Is he back on the right track?
What hath happened unto me, my friends? Ye see me troubled, driven forth, unwillingly obedient, ready to go, alas, to go away from you. Yea, once more must Zarathustra retire to his solitude, but unjoyously this time doth the bear go back to his cave.
Apparently not. Zarathustra sadly informs his friends that he has to leave them yet again. He did so at the end of Part 1, but there it was by choice, because he wanted to give them time to grow on their own. Here he feels compelled to do so. There is something that troubles him, something that he needs to figure out. This time, it is he who needs to grow on his own.
What hath happened unto me? Who ordereth this? Ah, mine angry mistress wisheth it so. She spake unto me. Have I ever named her name to you? Yesterday towards evening there spake unto me my stillest hour. That is the name of my terrible mistress.
Zarathustra is usually preoccupied with thinking grand and beautiful thoughts. But in his stillest hour, when all other thoughts die down, he has to face that thing that is troubling him. The thing that has troubled him for a while. It has control over him, like a mistress.
And thus did it happen, for everything must I tell you, that your heart may not harden against the suddenly departing one. Do ye know the terror of him who falleth asleep? To the very toes is he terrified, because the ground giveth way under him, and the dream beginneth.
Once again, the repressed thought comes to him in the form of a dream. These dreams have become so scary that he is afraid to go to sleep. He will need to decipher them, if he wants to get to a point where his sleep is sound again.
This do I speak unto you in parable. Yesterday at the stillest hour did the ground give way under me. The dream began. The hour hand moved on. The timepiece of my life drew breath. Never did I hear such stillness around me, so that my heart was terrified. Then was there spoken unto me without voice, Thou knowest it, Zarathustra.
Zarathustra's subconscious is asking him if he knows it. What is it?
And I cried in terror at this whispering, and the blood left my face, but I was silent. Then was there once more spoken unto me without voice, Thou knowest it, Zarathustra, but thou dost not speak it. And at last I answered like one defiant, Yea, I know it, but I will not speak it.
So, there is a deep thought residing in his subconscious, which he does not utter, does not bring to light. He is evidently terrified by it. Of course, when a thought is buried in the subconscious, it is not formulated yet. It is more like a vague notion, which he still has to articulate. But he doesn't want to.
Then was there again spoken unto me without voice, Thou wilt not, Zarathustra? Is this true? Conceal thyself not behind thy defiance. And I wept and trembled like a child, and said, Ah, I would indeed, but how can I do it? Exempt me only from this. It is beyond my power.
Zarathustra said that he will not speak it, and the voice attacks these words. The will, as we remember, has a special place in his philosophy. He believes that we are driven by the will to power, that everything we are comes from it. The voice, or rather the non-voice, is telling him that he is lying when he says that he will not, because his will actually does want to do it. His consciousness is resisting his will. Zarathustra admits it, and admits that it is because he is too afraid. This thought that he is hiding is beyond his power to handle.
Then was there again spoken unto me without voice, What matter about thyself, Zarathustra? Speak thy word and succumb. And I answered, Ah, is it my word? Who am I? I await the worthier one. I am not worthy even to succumb by it.
The non-voice demands of him to speak that thought, even if it will destroy him, because by that he will bring us closer to the Superman. This is, after all, what Zarathustra was repeatedly demanding of everyone throughout the story, going all the way back to his first speech about the Superman, that they succumb that wretchedly human part in them, on the altar of advancing humankind and making it more powerful. But Zarathustra believes that this thing that he carries with him is too much for him. He is awaiting someone worthier, who will be able to succumb by that thought. The most he can do by succumbing is making way for that worthier one.
Then was there again spoken unto me without voice, What matter about thyself? Thou art not yet humble enough for me. Humility hath the hardest skin. And I answered, What hath not the skin of my humility endured? At the foot of my height do I dwell. How high are my summits? No one hath yet told me, but well do I know my valleys.
The non-voice is accusing him that he is simply too vain. He refuses to do it because he loves himself too much, and doesn't want to allow the thought that might destroy him completely to rise up and take over him. He knows it would lead either to death or to self-surpassing so powerful that it will completely change who he is, and he doesn't want to give himself up. Zarathustra pretty much admits that the accusation is correct. He doesn't know what heights this self-surpassing might take him to, but he does know his valleys, his weaknesses that might prevent him from achieving those heights. In other words, he doesn't feel powerful enough to deal with this challenge. Someone more powerful than him is needed.
Then was there again spoken unto me without voice, O Zarathustra, he who hath to remove mountains removeth also valleys and plains. And I answered, As yet hath my word not removed mountains, and what I have spoken hath not reached men. I went indeed unto men, but not yet have I attained unto them.
Recall that in the previous chapter, Zarathustra spoke of being caught between man and Superman, and drawn to both. The Superman is the highest mountain, while man is the valley, a side of him that he doesn't want to lose. The non-voice tells him that the valley can be changed and be made better as well. That is, that man can be made better. But Zarathustra admits that so far, he made no headway in changing humans.
Then was there again spoken unto me without voice, What knowest thou thereof? The dew falleth on the grass when the night is most silent. And I answered, They mocked me when I found and walked in mine own path, and certainly did my feet then tremble. And thus did they speak unto me, Thou forgottest the path before, now dost thou also forget how to walk.
The non-voice tells Zarathustra that he doesn't know what effect he had on his listeners. His words will eventually work on them. Zarathustra reminds him that all he got from most people was mockery. They don't understand him, and while he thinks he is blazing a new path, they just consider him someone who has lost his way.
Then was there again spoken unto me without voice, What matter about their mockery? Thou art one who hast unlearned to obey. Now shalt thou command. Knowest thou not who is most needed by all? He who commandeth great things. To execute great things is difficult, but the more difficult task is to command great things. This is thy most unpardonable obstinacy. Thou hast the power, and thou wilt not rule.
The non-voice is demanding of Zarathustra to take the next step, the step that will win over the people. He overthrew the values of the herd, but he must create new values and put them forth as commandments, so that people will have something to obey that will take them higher. He already created some concepts and principles: the Superman, the death of God, remaining true to the earth, the will to power as the force at the root of all things, self-surpassing as the most powerful experience, and more. But he did not bring it all together into one gospel. It accuses Zarathustra that he has the ability to command, but will not do so, and it claims that this is unforgivable.
And I answered, I lack the lion's voice for all commanding. Then was there again spoken unto me as a whispering, It is the stillest words which bring the storm. Thoughts that come with dove's footsteps guide the world. O Zarathustra, thou shalt go as a shadow of that which is to come. Thus wilt thou command, and in commanding go foremost.
Zarathustra, like many prophets before him, sees himself as unfit. He says that his voice isn't strong enough to command. But the non-voice assures him that he doesn't need a strong voice. He only needs to present the ideas and values, give folks the image of what they could be, and humanity will make that image flesh.
And I answered, I am ashamed. Then was there again spoken unto me without voice, Thou must yet become a child, and be without shame. The pride of youth is still upon thee. Late hast thou become young, but he who would become a child must surmount even his youth. And I considered a long while and trembled. At last, however, did I say what I had said at first, I will not.
Zarathustra, amazingly given how brash he usually is, feels too shy to carry this mission. The non-voice then throws at him something that he once said about Jesus, in the discourse titled Voluntary Death. He said that Jesus died before he had the chance to get out of his youthful years and become a child. A child, we know, is someone who looks at the world with fresh new eyes and is ready to create something new. For that, however, you have to give up on everything that you were before, and this is something that youth, with their rebellious nature and pride in their individual identity, are incapable of doing. Zarathustra is older than Jesus when he died, and yet the non-voice accuses him that he still holds on to his youthful pride and demands of him to let go of it. But Zarathustra, again, realizes that he doesn't have the courage.
Then did a laughing take place all around me. Alas, how that laughing lacerated my bowels and cut into my heart. And there was spoken unto me for the last time, O Zarathustra, thy fruits are ripe, but thou art not ripe for thy fruits. So must thou go again into solitude, for thou shalt yet become mellow.
The non-voice laughs at him, laughs at his cowardice. Zarathustra's subconscious is telling him that the idea within him is ripe, and wants to be expressed. But while the idea may be ripe, Zarathustra himself isn't ripe to deliver it to humanity. Therefore, it tells him that he must go back into solitude, until he becomes ready.
And again was there a laughing, and it fled. Then did it become still around me, as with a double stillness. I lay, however, on the ground, and the sweat flowed from my limbs. Now have ye heard all, and why I have to return to my solitude. Nothing have I kept hidden from you, my friends.
This was the dream, then, in its entirety, and this, says Zarathustra to his disciples and friends, is why he must leave them again.
But even this have ye heard from me, who is still the most reserved of men, and will be so. Ah, my friends, I should have something more to say unto you. I should have something more to give unto you. Why do I not give it? Am I then a niggard? When, however, Zarathustra had spoken these words, the violence of his pain, and a sense of the nearness of his departure from his friends came over him, so that he wept aloud, and no one knew how to console him. In the night, however, he went away alone and left his friends.
Even though he told them everything that was in his dream, Zarathustra admits that there is one thing that he still keeps to himself. Obviously, it's a thought that the non-voice demanded of him to let out. He is not ready to share it with others yet, evidently feeling that humanity is not ready for it. Before he can share it, he must first of all deal with it on his own, and solve the problems that it poses for his philosophy. The dream is actually his will to power berating him for suppressing this idea and not dealing with it, for fear that it will bring his whole worldview down. He has been distracting himself with other thoughts, but now he must go back into solitude and face the dragon. His shadow has known it for a while, ever since great events. Now Zarathustra realizes it as well. A lot of readers make the mistake of thinking that Thus Spake Zarathustra is merely a philosophy book. They think that they can open the book at any page, and it will teach the same philosophy. Wrong. This is a novel, a story of a spiritual journey. Zarathustra goes through self-surpassings, and ideas formed at some point are later superseded by other ideas. Moreover, it is a spiritual drama of a soul that goes through trials and tribulations in its quest for happiness. The drama has been intensifying towards the end of Part 2. Join me in the third and final part, where it will reach its apotheosis.